So we have a yellow Grinch trying to poke Doodletone's commentaries on Mr. Enter, though his points are so dull that you would mistake them for spoons. But his points aren't the only problems throughout his video, as some of his production choices are confusing.
Because evidently this needs to be said, I do not want you guys to go to today's Target for the purposes of giving them a hard time. Please do not pester these people at all. Thank you.
Such as this confusing mess. First off, the opening is loud and painful to the ears. I'm not sure what on earth it was that you were playing, but please learn how to play it or change to something you can play. Then there's the oddity of you using Doodletone's disclaimer after this. You never acknowledge it, and I really don't understand. Why didn't you just record your own clip if you wanted to have a disclaimer?
Can you smell that? Can you all smell that? It's just a shitstorm coming my way. Well, this is fun. I mean, I'm tearing apart a YouTuber that's much bigger than me. This is gonna be fantastic!
Please, like you have any idea how to debate well enough to rip apart anything Doodletone says.
Now, before we start, I just want to say something first before we get on with the review, or commentary, whatever you want to call it.
I'd say that this is more of a review than a commentary, as you play Doodletone's clips out of order and just try and use them as target practice. But before you do that, you should probably sharpen your points. They're kind of useless right now with how dull they are.
Now, here's a tutorial on how to make a well-established avatar. Now, ask yourself, who is my favorite anime character? And it can't be a man, because it has to be a sexy, hot anime woman. So once that you're done with that, you just go and Google Images and you find pictures of your waifu and make it as your avatar. Now, with all the jokes aside, look at this. This is just lazy. All she did is she just got pictures of an anime character and just put it as your avatar.
What's wrong with getting an avatar like that? It's a relatively common way to choose an avatar, and there's nothing wrong with this, as it's a pretty common way to do it, and simple one at that. Really, this point is irrelevant and simply comes off as an ad hominem. Why attack her instead of her argument? Hell, there could be stuff to say about one's avatar, but let's let your next part of your video go by.
And you may be saying, hey Miles, your avatar looks like shit because it's just a bunch of circles. Well, at least I actually thought of something rather than just stealing it.
If there's something to be said about an avatar, it's the ability to emote and express the video creator's emotions. Doodletone's avatars have a lot of emotions and makes it so we can actually tell what she's feeling. Not only that, but she has 3 different avatars, all of which she drew herself. Webcam Girl, Susie Doodle, and I'm not actually sure what the third one's name is. The point is that she has 3 original avatars that all have a wide range of emotions and expressions. But you only have 2 expressions, looking straight forward and looking to the side. It doesn't give a lot of emotions and makes it hard for your audience to know what you're really feeling without your voice. It kind of messes with your presentation, as you do some acting in this video and it's kind of hard to read your emotions other than through your voice.
This is a very special kind of bad from John Enter when it comes to his reviews. Yes, Mr. Enter can take things too seriously. Yes, he can overreact to jokes, and yes, it can be absolutely infuriating to watch him go on and on about morality. But this is him going out of his way to not understand jokes because the person in question is Seth MacFarlane, someone who Enter has shown to be irrational towards with a hate boner as big as the Washington Monument.
Well, you're kind of wrong because Mr. Enter actually said that one of these clips or shorts or whatever you want to call them was actually good, but then your hate boner or whatever you want to call it towards John Enter started to kick in.
Of the shorts, this is probably the best.
But this is Seth MacFarlane's cavalcade of cartoon comedy, so therefore it's automatically bad, right?
Well, all he was doing was telling a joke about how everything in the short was bad. Sheesh, people say he can't take anything seriously. Here you are, doing the exact same thing that everybody criticizes him about.
Wait, he can't take anything seriously? But I thought he was super serious! Anyways, here's a fun fact. If you had let Doodletones continue in the first clip, she would have pointed out that she had defended Mr. Enter before.
This is a very special kind of bad from John Enter when it comes to his reviews. Yes, Mr. Enter can take things too seriously. Yes, he can overreact to jokes, and yes, it can be absolutely infuriating to watch him go on and on about morality. But this is him going out of his way to not understand jokes because the person in question is Seth MacFarlane, someone who Enter has shown to be irrational towards with a hate boner as big as the Washington Monument. Now, before anyone gets on specifically my case about this, being that I've defended Mr. Enter many a time, I know someone out there is going to do it, but I don't get on people's cases about covering Enter. I get on their cases for covering him poorly. So that one person who is going to speak up, sit down, we've got quite a bit to go through, so let's commence trudging.
Just because she did a commentary on him doesn't mean she hates him. And even if she did, whatever point she brings up can still be valid unless you debunk her. Which you didn't, as the clip you showed is from later on where she's referring to an earlier point in the video.
This is one of the better ones, even though it has a couple of notable problems. The main one being that it's a part of Seth MacFarlane's cavalcade of cartoon comedy, which is on a mission to kill the concept of comedy.
So it's bad because it's the series? Fuck it, Enter. This has to be the best critique you've ever given anything ever. Now excuse me while I take sandpaper to my brain and attempt to forget that absolute retardation that is this logic.
As you can see, he's saying it's bad because of the series, not because it's short. Please stop being selective in your examples and give us something to work with.
And you'll see that the animation style is very reminiscent of Family Guy. Like, exactly the same as Family Guy.
And this is just a shot in the dark. It's because it's by Seth MacFarlane, a guy who's very similar to Matt Groening, and that when it's his style, you'll know immediately. Even playing devil's advocate that this could very well be scrapped skits. This could very well be American Dad. Why do you just assume it's Family Guy? Is it because that's all Seth MacFarlane is known for? Well, American Dad came out in 2005. Cavalcade of Cartoon Comedy came out in 2008. It's not unreasonable for us to assume that this could very well be unused jokes from American Dad.
Number 1, American Dad does not have any cutaway gags, and number 2, Family Guy and American Dad have different art styles. Even though they're created by the same person, they still have different art styles.
Please, I've seen a few episodes of American Dad, and there were cutaway gags. While I don't remember the names of the episodes, as it was quite a while back, there were cutaway gags. And tell me these two shows have different styles? Please. They really have the same style.
This would have been a lot funnier if we actually didn't see the mountain climber, and the shit inexplicably fell from the sky, like it actually was from God.
So the joke would only be good if there was no setup? Gee, Enter, it's almost as if jokes tend to have setups so the punchlines have a bit more fucking context to them.
And I totally agree with you on that point. All jokes should have setups. However, I think that there could have been a much better way of setting up this joke. Like maybe it showed the mountain climber after the shit fell from the sky.
Wait, so the setup should happen after the joke. But then that wouldn't be a setup, as setups happen beforehand. That's why they are set-ups. You seem to have lost your logic. Would you like help finding it?
And as for the pastor looking up, you're reading too deep into it. He could have been looking more often into the distance. If we want to apply logic here, the rock climber is directly over them. The pastor never moved his head to look directly up, so therefore he was looking more at the sky. But that's if we were to use real-world logic for a skit.
And if we used real-world logic, he would have looked up when he got shat on, so your point is pretty much invalid.
But that's also the point. This is a skit, and real-world logic isn't really the main staying point. But if we want to add into the real-world logic, it's still clear to see, and everyone isn't covered in shadows. That means the rock climber has to be way above them and on an overhanging cliff, one high enough that the sun is shining like below it. Which means that even if the priest looked straight up afterwards, the rock climber would be so far up that you wouldn't be able to see him without binoculars.
Now, I could go on why this video is horrible, but I don't want to be here for like 40 minutes. And the main problem with this video is that she just keeps on going on with the same exact point and does not change any other point whatsoever. All she does the entire video is just say, "You don't get the joke, so I'm just going to point it out for you," for every single one of them, with like, what, 20, without 20 of them.
But her point isn't that he just doesn't get the joke. Her point is that he's going out of his way to not get the joke because the person in question is Seth MacFarlane.
And she keeps on saying that just because Mr. Enter does not get the joke suddenly means that he doesn't think that the joke is there. And her only evidence is just her twisting the words of Mr. Enter.
I don't get the reference. If the audience doesn't get the reference, then the joke should be invisible.
Alright, so you finally just got right inside it. There is no joke if I don't get it.
He didn't say that just because he doesn't get the joke doesn't mean it doesn't exist. He meant that the people who don't get the reference wouldn't get the joke. That's what he's talking about when he's saying that it's invisible. He's saying it's invisible to the people who don't get it, which is the audience.
So, if the joke is invisible, it's not there, right?
And it just goes over and over without any form of stopping. And some of her points are valid, and I'll give her that, but most of her points aren't, and it's just grating. And that's the main problem of her video. She makes good, decent points sometimes, but most of the points she doesn't.
But you never elaborate on what these good points are. You're just throwing it out there and leaving it to rot.
I could go on with how bad this video is, but I don't want to lose 4 hours of my life that I'll never get back.
What are you doing?
Summoning something scary.
And then you use her video's end card as your own, so I guess I'll go on to my final thoughts. First things first, retakes it. You stutter over yourself and flub your words in multiple points. You should try and work on that. And when you trip up, do retakes. Trust me, if I hadn't cut out my flubs, we would be here for days. One of the main problems is that you don't seem to have any points that can hold salt, and basically coming to defend our oh so mysterious Mr. Inter. You basically just say no you and leave a lot of pointless points that aren't very sharp and not useful for cutting anything. So please, in the future, provide some sufficiently sharp enough points.